them right back in the mix. Stefan Fry, an elastic performance for Seattle, only to see the Sounders through Roldan nearly able to put it away. And still with 10 minutes to go, the Champions League final hung in the balance until Jordan Morris tees up Nico Ladero. One more pass, Rui Diaz. Seattle 2 goals ahead in the 2022 Champions League final. The United States, Major League Soccer, and one of the great sporting cities in North America on the verge of a long-awaited Champions League crown. That would be the exclamation point. Nico Ladero, the finisher, 5-2 on aggregate. And the Seattle Sounders and Mexico's long-standing hex over the United States in Champions League. Champions League winners in 2022. Which leads us to a new edition of this competition in 2023. The United States and Mexico seemingly have more and more matches against one another at the club and international level every year, and yet it doesn't appear that there's fatigue for that just yet. Champions League expanding, Leagues Cup expanding, Nations League, Gold Cup meetings in the women's national team ranks at Concacaf W and the upcoming Concacaf W Gold Cup. And of course, just less than a month ago, the Concacaf Under-17 Championship. Last year, the Concacaf Under-20 Championship did not see the USA and Mexico match up, which is a rarity. It seems no one's tired of seeing these matchups yet, but what we have come to find out is that the United States have more than just a puncher's chance now. This Tigres side for a long time was the most successful, unsuccessful team in Champions League. They made the final on 3 separate occasions. The team of the decade appeared poised to leave that decade without an international trophy. And yet in 2020, LAFC against Tigres in Orlando, of all places, in the Champions League bubble. Finally, Andre-Pierre Gignac and Hugo Ayala, the goals in a single-legged Champions League final, puts Tigres over the top to see them ultimately go to the Club World Cup and be the most successful CONCACAF club at that stage as well. For this Orlando City side, they did not have to go on the road at all in their Open Cup run, and what a majestic run that Open Cup was. A couple teams within their own home state of Florida, the Rowdies and Inter Miami. They take down Miami on penalties, Nashville on penalties, blow away New York Red Bulls, and then finish off Sacramento's Cinderella story in the final in Orlando last year, leading them finally to the international stage in CONCACAF. These two teams are certainly going to create the most intriguing of the round of 16 matchups, and you never really know what you're going to get when you begin a new year of Champions League. The Lions and Tigers were obvious, the Dog less so in El Salvador. Austin falling in the Dominican Republic against a Haitian side. The CCL bingo card is quickly filling up. But know this stadium is full, knowing that no one knows what's going to happen next between this Orlando City side that is primed for this moment and this Tigres side that's been at this moment time and time again and succeeded in this stage. Tifos and fireworks, smoke billowing. This stadium of 41,000 is packed to the rafters. An incredible matchup in the round of 16. As the stadium fills in, not a ticket left to be sold as of yesterday. It's Orlando City and Tigres. They'll play the Champions League anthem. We'll meet the lineups. We'll kick off the most intriguing of the round of 16 fixtures in just moments. They certainly know how to throw a party here in Monterrey. 2019 final, the Clásico Regio between Rayados and Tigres. Two previous finals, Pachuca and Club America, finally in 2020, their first Champions League crown. They hope that this journey, their first time back in Champions League, proves fruitful beginning tonight. Here's the lineup that Chima Ruiz has put together. There are 3 changes from their last match against Necaxa on Friday. Jesus Angulo moves in the back. Vigon into midfield, and of course, the number 10, the captain, the all-time leading scorer for Tigres, André Pierre Gignac, returns from a 3-game, 3-week absence due to a muscle injury. For just the 4th time, he teams with Nicolas Ibanez up front in a 4-4-2. Mauricio Pereira waits and embraces with André Pierre Gignac. Mario Escobar oversaw the 2020 Champions League final between Tigres and LAFC. Also worked last year's Club World Cup and the 2022 FIFA World Cup. He had the whistle for the group stage match between Wales and Iran. A tremendous team of Guatemalan officials to oversee the blockbuster game of the round of 16. Has support of the VAR for a 2nd consecutive year. Ricardo Montero of Costa Rica, who oversaw the final from a VAR perspective last year in Seattle, is joined by Benjamin Pineda of Costa Rica. For Orlando City, Oscar Pareja has made 1 change from their opening day lineup. Erjan Kara moves to the bench. Ramiro Enrique gets his first start in purple, acquired back in January. Pereira runs the midfield, and intrigued to see how Petrasso and Halliday handle wide areas at outside back. It's an Orlando team that has struggled to score just 2 games into their domestic campaign. We're underway. Orlando City takes on Tigres. And the Estadio Universitario roars. Up for Torres. Petrasso will chase it out. Belongs to Tigres. Orlando win against New York Red Bulls. A penalty from Facundo Torres in their opener. A scoreless draw with 5 changes against FC Cincinnati over the weekend. Samir, Guzman. Tigres just 1 loss in their 10 games in Liga MX. They sit on 21 points, tied 2nd, but sitting behind their chief rival, Monterrey. Seeking Quiñones. Speared away by Angulo. And back to Nahuel Guzman, who makes his 33rd appearance for Tigres in Champions League. Angulo took the return from Quiñones. This is Gorriarán. Swung outside by Vigon. Tigres plowing into the final third. Aquino settled by Ibanez, laid back and deflected away from Galese. It'll be Gorriarán. Gignac at Galese. And there's the first sparring punch from Tigres. Always interesting to see how teams approach a game on the road, particularly an American team having to go to Mexico where success historically has been so infrequent. Just by getting the second leg at home on its face, statistically, Orlando has twice as good an odds historically of advancing than if they finished on the road. MLS 4-28 when the series ends in Mexico, 8-14 when it ends in the United States or Canada. Pereira sends it forward. Circling Enrique. Halliday. Pereira shoved off the ball by Angulo. It'll be Ojeda or Pereira to put in play. Pereira does. Upward, Guzman. Have a look at an early chance for Andre Pierre Gignac, one of the most lethal scorers in Concacaf. Even coming off injury, the expectation always great. Also one of the great personalities in CONCACAF as well. Gorriarán. Free kick, Orlando City. Ibanez, the guilty party this time. There's Oscar Pareja. Pareja saw Tigres twice as the manager with Tijuana. His second game in charge, a 3-0 loss, but a 1-1 draw in the following tournament. Of course, his Champions League accolades include a 2017 run to the semifinal. They saw Pachuca FC Dallas. Shuffled forward by Vigon. Gorriarán lines up Petrasso. Gorriarán through, Ibanez. Shielded away expertly. Well done by Robin Janssen, coming off surgery last year, continuing to grow back into full fitness. This new season begins for the MLS side. It's already in full swing for the Mexican teams as usual. Gignac, the return. Gignac breaks through. Gignac! Galese. Gignac arguing. Play allowed to continue. A savant on the ball, Andre Pierre Gignac. Once he enters the penalty area, tough to argue there's really anything for Gignac to be overly frustrated about, at least at first glance. bypassing Robin Janssen. For Ibanez. Shuffled away from Petrasso. Field gave way for Goryaran. Vigon. Vigon lays off. Gignac. Whisked away by Galese. And Gignac's tail is up early. Goryaran. Galese. Came with such pace, this ends up getting parried over 20 yards the other direction. Marco Antonio Ruiz, the 53-year-old Mexican, he's made clear no one knows the responsibility of leading Tigres more than he does, having played about a decade for the club in the 90s and early 2000s, taking over under surprising circumstances when Diego Coca took the Mexican national team job. This hammered well off the frame for Orlando by Enrique. Samir. Lichnowsky. Ojeda pressuring forward from Aquino. Strong step by Araujo. Araujo. 2 goals ever for Orlando, and they both came when needed most, the Open Cup semifinal. Galese. Ivan Angulo cedes to Petrasso for the throw. Orlando, one of 4 debutants in this year's competition. Atlas, who wish they'd joined the competition when they actually won the titles. This year has been a tougher sled. Austin, who to be fair, got another debutant in Violette in the modern era of the competition. Caught the wrong end of that old tiger in the Dominican Republic earlier tonight. 3-goal loss for Austin FC. It had been 7 years since a Haitian team had even scored in Champions League, much less won a game. Pereira. Janssen. Vigon wants to win it back over the top for Ibanez. Away by Schlegel. Angulo. Sends Quinones. Halliday up to the task, the 20-year-old defender. Was part of the under-20 championship side for the U.S. last year. Goryaran. Angulo. Quinones. Service launched away. Quiñones, another bite of the apple. Quiñones. A cute angle. Back by Carioca. Lichnowsky. Carioca. Angulo. Chip centrally. Gignac. Aquino. Aquino around Angulo, pumps the brakes, serves. Header from Vigon, just beyond the reach of Gignac. Does not land gracefully, Vigon. Still, there's Gignac in what feels like a patented position at the back post. Of Petrasso, last touched by Carioca. Have to wonder what's going through Chima Ruiz's mind when you place a lineup this strong. And to be fair, Pizarro, Cordova, regular if not starters at all times in maybe the most complicated 4-game stretch of the entire year for Tigres. You know how important it is try and win a trophy in a club that expects that level of success in short order. Enrique down, firm talking to Samir. Raking over the top of that left cleat on your screen. Conversation continues. Enrique remains down. 21-year-old Argentine player acquired at the end of January. Signed in the MLS Under-22 initiative. His father won the World Cup, Hector Enrique. Came up through Banfield's renowned academy into the first team these past 2 years. Well, he's played in Copa Sudamericana. He's played in some big games in Argentina. You have to think this is one of the more meaningful to get his first start this new club in this kind of venue. Enrique is back up. Another look at that late tackle in from behind and that trailing leg catching Enrique as well. It is a free kick, but no card. So Enrique will stay off for a moment's time. Ojeda puts it in play. Lichnowsky. Araujo. Beyond Ojeda. Flighted ball. Seeking Quiñones. Sliced out. Still numbers behind the ball for Tigres. Rolled forward by Angulo. Out by Samir. Enrique's returned. Araujo. Caught by Guzman. He's quickly released Tigres the other way. Ojeda recovers. Took it away from Aquino. Torres. Ojeda spins into the width. Ojeda crossing. Pereira. Quiñones. And a foul from Schlegel. His 50th start in an Orlando uniform. Carioca. Angulo. 94th game between Mexican and MLS teams. Mexican sides lead 52 wins, 24 losses, 17 draws. A free kick for Tigres. Of course, no one among the Mexican teams hiding from the fact that they want to take some measure of revenge, regaining the Champions League crown ceded a year ago to Seattle. Quiñones slid no further. Lichnowsky. Vigon, 28-year-old Chilean center back again. Now Samir. There are 9 members that remain from that 2020 Champions League winning squad for Tigres, and a pair that were non-playing members of that team. Still on the books for Tigres, despite what's been a tumultuous run of managers since Tuca Ferretti left the club. Ibanez forklifts out. Gorriarán, Aquino. Gorriarán on the first time. That'll bounce all the way through. Nearly got to Gignac. At the feet of Angulo, and recycled. Gorriarán. Angulo. Gignac's dropped deeper and sets the table once more. Quiñones. Quiñones. Denied by Janssen. Well, that's an interesting adjustment coming for Oscar Pareja. Wilder Cartagena waits to enter for Orlando. In the interim, another service from the wide area for Tigres. And again, Orlando up to the task. While their offense has struggled to get off the ground at the outset of the season, and they've made clear with all the changes, it was going to take time. They were saying that before they only got one shot in the run of play in the first 2 games. Their defense has gotten the job done. Just 8 shots allowed. Haven't allowed a goal through yet. That's a strong step by Schlegel. Ojeda. Still Cartagena waits. Enrique picked up that earlier knock. Of course, if they were to make a change there, the like-for-like adjustment would have been Ercan Kara. Araujo. Pushed back by Ibanez, Galese. Vigon. Cartagena is now moving back to the bench. It appears they're satisfied. Whatever change they felt might be necessary won't be at the moment. Aquino. Aquino. Pressured away from the edge of the area. Ricochets off of Araujo. Corner Tigres. And they've moved quickly. Carioca. Lichnowsky kept it alive. He and Janssen barrel rolling to the ground, and it's Orlando running the other direction. Not a lot of space for Orlando to play, and now they get a free kick earned by Schlegel. Another look at all that contact in the penalty area. Don't see the jersey getting grabbed at all, just that extended arm away from the body by Janssen. Appears well defended. Halliday overran it. Gone. Halliday. Constricting pressure. Lofted up the line. It's the 3rd game of the night. This Tigres team trying to eventually reach their 5th Champions League final in the modern era. Orlando new to the competition. Violet 3-0 over Austin. The opening game of the tournament. Philadelphia and Alianza in El Salvador at Estadio Cuscatlan. Scoreless in a pretty nervy affair. This has certainly had energy. Nothing to show for it on the scoreboard just yet. Pereira. Bit off the mark from Facundo Torres. Luis Quiñones. Met by Araujo. Petrasso steps in. Quiñones maintains it on the chalk. Petrasso there again. Turn back to Carioca. And the flag had gone up. And Andre Pierre-Gignac just stormed at a teammate. Apparent miscommunication. Another look at Quiñones trying to get back onside. Carioca. So vital to how this midfield operates for Tigres at their best. Quiñones wiggled his way around Petrasso. Now lines him up 1v1. Quiñones, Janssen. Stand-up performance from Robin Janssen to this point. Enlightened moment here for Tigres. And this time, Gorriarán mishits it. As we cross the half-hour mark at El Volcán. You would think Orlando is going to have a tremendous atmosphere for the return leg next week. There are some Orlando fans in the building, but as you'd anticipate, Tigres fans more than happy to come out on a Tuesday night. Their first Champions League game since they were unable to watch the game played in Orlando live against LAFC in the Champions League bubble of December 2020. Torres leading Halliday. Still apparently a handful of tickets for that game in Orlando. Hopefully those won't last long. Certainly an occasion worthy of backing what's one of the great atmospheres in Major League Soccer. Angulo deep in his bag on Aquino. He's gonna have to beat two. In the end, it's Vigon. Halliday. Facundo Torres. Vigon, return from Gignac. Angulo. Vigon. Gorriarán. Quiñones. Had Aquino treading further up the line, instead moves central. The attempt to sneak it in behind for Enrique is cut out. Swipe back to Ibanez. Now Gorriaran ladles that into the box. Gorriaran has actually played against Orlando. He was on the Santos Laguna side that Orlando faced in Leagues Cup a couple of years ago. He was ultimately victorious in that match. 1-0 back in August of 2021. Juan Otero, the lone goal scorer for Santos. Gulo moves central. Gignac, Ibanez, Gorriaran, big rebound, Gignac. Give him even just a glimmer. He'll look to give you something truly memorable. Dug out by Galese. That dipped awkwardly. And Gignac, who won the Golden Boot back in 2020. Got the silver ball, the Club World Cup, the gold ball in that Champions League run. In pursuit of his first of the tournament. Torres. Schlegel went down behind the play. He's back to his feet. So Orlando circulate. Never reached Angulo. Ibanez. Up by Araujo. This is Vigon. Pereira. Araujo. Pereira. Sets the table. Facundo Torres. The overlap of Halliday. He's inverted. Pereira. There might be space here for Orlando. Petrasso. Torres. Orlando growing into the game. Less than 10 minutes to halftime. Ojeda. Halliday. Slides inside on Gorriaran. Halliday. Pereira. Back outside, Halliday once more. Araujo. Now he's broken free. Araujo, the touch central. And he slides it toward the post. Well, on its face, an improved offensive performance from Orlando here on the road. It's their third shot. Tigres 7, including a couple of good opportunities for Andre Pierre-Gignac that have all come up empty. A few vital saves from Pedro Galese. It's hit with malaise. Whether or not the flag was going to be up or not on Torres caused him to reconsider the value of the run. Carioca. Flipped up by Angulo. And a free kick ceded by Schlegel. Gloria Ron, a few yards beyond the cusp of the penalty area. Trasso and Torres draw the short straws. Galese aligns. Schlegel joins. And Andre Pierre-Gignac, who at times has motioned to his head as if he's going to be able to telepathically move the ball, stands over it now for Tigres. Would you doubt him? Gignac. Gignac through traffic. Carioca in reverse. Guzman authored one of the seminal moments in Champions League history. Nahuel Guzman, round of 16 3 years ago against Alianza, shortly before COVID shut the tournament down for 10 months, shut the world down for the majority of that time. The walk-off winner against Alianza, the goalkeeper from Tigres. Carioca. What an epic diagonal. Falls to Aquino. Gignac was waiting, never reached him. Araujo was there. Torres. Crowd senses a moment. Quiñones clips it across for Ibanez. Janssen again. And the foul sends Torres flailing. Lichnowsky rather Angulo cast aside. Whether Galese's palms are up to the crowd or to his teammates, to the referee for that matter, remains to be seen. Flicked on a header is grabbed by Guzman. That's a foul from Pereira. all of Gorioran. Still without a card at this point. This has been a fairly smooth 43.5 minutes. Ibanez was closed down, but now Ibanez stridently slid off his foot by Enrique. The run is on for Orlando. Enrique had to pause, free kick, Orlando City. If you're not going to give a yellow card the other way for Pereira in that counter movement, you're not going to give it there either. No one really seems all that mystified. Pereira sets it up for Angulo. Angulo. That's a simple save for Guzman. Three added minutes to this first half. Carioca. Gorioran. Service up. Gignac. Oh, Gignac. And Schlegel now. VAR is available, and now everyone's come together here. Whoa, red card to Gignac. Andre-Pierre Gignac's been sent off. There have been questions raised in another broadcast about Gignac's availability in Orlando next week. That's no longer in question. So watch Schlegel leaping back, Gignac attempting to cycle that. There's the first grab around the neck and the face from Schlegel, and then there's the shove down on the torso and hip of Schlegel by Gignac. So this is reviewable. But as it stands, Gignac has been sent off. And a massive decision. The referee in contact with Ricardo Montero, the Costa Rican VAR. There may be a cut there to Schlegel as well. He's been looked at by the athletic trainer. He's saying he was in a headlock, and that was his reaction. Yeah, they will review it. Well, this is fascinating. The contact here from Schlegel. He's looking the other way. Does he reach around the top of the shoulders of Gignac and make contact at the neck or head? Obviously, there's the response from Gignac after the fact. And then, of course, all this happens inside the penalty area. And VAR, for the first time, put in action here in Champions League. And again, that bingo card is still filling out. So here we go from Mario Escobar. No red card to Gignac. It's a yellow to Gignac. And that red card's still out. This may go the other way. The referee's trying to establish some order here. He's put the card away now. So the contact from Schlegel, incidental. The contact from Gignac, not deemed worthy of a red card. It's merely a foul on Gignac in the ensuing yellow. And we maybe have another minute here in this first half. So VAR comes to Tigres' aid late in this first half and prevent them from playing down a man. Appeal for a handball, play on, Torres. Pereira, official, is in Pereira's path. Petrasso, plenty of space to explore. And that is halftime. An eventful conclusion to, at least as the score sheet would tell you, an uneventful first half between Tigres and Orlando City. Andre-Pierre Gignac is still arguing his side. He had tried to explain it to Orlando City's captain as well along the way. Eventually, these teams will make their way into the dressing room here at El Volcán. Still 45 minutes to play here, and of course the second leg next week in Orlando. Nothing to show for these first 45 minutes, however. And El Volcán living up to its reputation, loud and boisterous. The round of 16, first leg in Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. Halftime has arrived. Orlando City 0, Tigres 0.
Todos en el estadio deben cumplir con el código de conducta del aficionado, el cual prohíbe el uso del lenguaje ofensivo. Si utilizan o usan el lenguaje ofensivo, Concacaf iniciará sus protocolos antidiscriminación. Esto significa que podrá ser expulsado del estadio y el partido podrá ser detenido o abandonado. Si es expulsado del estadio por abusos ofensivos, no recibirá contra el golpe. Si el partido es suspendido o abandonado debido a abusos ofensivos, no habrá reembolso. No hay espacio para la discriminación en nuestro juego.
You oversaw the 2022 World Cup group stage match between Wales and Iran, the Club World Cup last year. You oversaw the Champions League final when Tigres beat LAFC. But Mario Escobar in uncharted territory, pulling a red card late in that first half, then using VAR to overturn that decision. André-Pierre Gignac has been treating himself with electrolytes here for the last few minutes since he re-entered the field, returning from a 3-week hiatus. He and Tigres scoreless with Orlando City at the break. Orlando will make a change at halftime. It's a change that was contemplated about 25 minutes into the match when Ramiro Enrique went down with an injury. Wilder Cartagena set to join. And the question, of course, how that will affect Orlando tactically. There's the whistle, second half underway at El Volcan. One of the great venues in CONCACAF, one of the great teams in CONCACAF, the team of the decade of the 2010s. An Orlando City side striving in their first Champions League campaign to knock them off their perch. Cartagena comes on, the Peruvian international, who did have some time in Mexico in 2018. He and Galese were both at Veracruz in 2018. Galese was there for about 4 years. Tigres in orange attack left to right in this second half. Samir. Lichnowsky. Aquino. Tigres on paper, take transfer market for what it is. You always see this article floating, who's the most valuable team or the highest market value team in this tournament. Well, this year it is Tigres. But a side that is on their third manager now in the last 4.5 months since Miguel Herrera was sacked in November. Diego Coca took over the Mexican national team last month. Bouncing ball rolled off frame by Gignac. And there's a statement of intent from Gignac to begin this second half of play. After all, there are 9 players from this Tigres team, including Gignac, who were runners-up at the 2020 Club World Cup. A 1-0 loss to Bayern Munich, the best result for any CONCACAF team in the competition. Thumbs up from Gignac. Ibanez tries to break it free. It's Gignac taken out by Cartagena. So Cartagena, as is typical, sits a bit deeper. Looks like Pereira may play a little higher. Then Ojeda is going to lead up top for an Orlando side that's spent a decent amount of this game with Tigres holding their thumb to the scale. Goriaran, Aquino. Aquino floating. 2 players in position. Goriaran. Aquino again. Carioca. That's Vigon. One of those 2 flying. Trying to nod home the Aquino service. He and Ibanez. Another look at Cartagena making his presence known. Less than 3 minutes into the second half, coming on as the halftime substitute. Angled through, that takes a weird hop, now ladled across the face of goal. Appealing to the referee. What an awkward moment that was. So gets over Ibanez. There's Gorriarán. There's the appeal from Ibanez on the ground, and Gorriarán, such an acute angle. Just trying to keep that in play. Jansen Araujo, familiar surely the Mexican League. His brother, Emiliano, plays at Toluca. All the way down to Guzman. Halliday put under pressure by Quiñones. Appealed for the offside flag. Angulo, Pereira. Angulo got chopped down by Aquino. Halliday, Gallese, Cartagena, that's out. Tigres today celebrating 63 years as a club. March 7th, 1960. Trying to celebrate that with the ultimate gift. Ball across down to Araujo. It's interesting, this is a club that had almost immediate success. Ultimately found their way back into the second division decades later, only to see 5 of their 7 Mexican first division titles come since 2011, hence the team of the decade moniker. Quiñones and Schlegel. Shadowing one another, and then the pressure from Quiñones. Gallese preparing for the hit. Quiñones energetic in his pressure to start this second half. Ball lobbed over the top, taken out of the air by Gignac. Gallese wipes it wide. Well, he takes that over his shoulder, hits it on the first time. Meanwhile, all the way across the face of goal and out the other side. Surely Ibanez was set to put Tigres ahead, sliding over the goal line, but he missed the ball by a narrow margin. Quiñones. Cartagena and Halliday there. Quiñones. That's a corner. What a stunning chance, a gaping net for Tigres just a moment ago. We'll look at the foul, or lack thereof. Cartagena does get the ball. Fernando Gorriarán. acquired in January. First Champions League game with Tigres. Gorriarán off the crossbar with a touch from Gallese. Nearly sailed into the goal. And now a Tigres free kick. Well, it does look like Gallese got just enough on that to tip it off the bar. Meanwhile, about 2 minutes ago, that long diagonal ball and the service straight between the legs of Ibanez. Set piece. Gallese came out. He didn't get there. And Tigres ratcheting up the pressure 10 minutes into the half. Aquino on the dribble. Angulo. Facundo Torres operating higher. That's Ojeda. Cross for Torres. Quiñones stripped it from Luca Petrasso. Quiñones got dumped, play continues. Gorriarán. Quiñones has Aquino. Gorriarán. Aquino. Domineering header. Second effort sends Lichnowsky back. Samir. Samir made up a lot of ground. Araujo running with it instead. Vigon, and now header down, Gallese. Tremendous save on Samir. Samir pounds a header into the ground, and Gallese stretches out. Keeps it scoreless. Angulo. Orlando would love to strike in this moment, just as Tigres are grabbing the game with both hands. The cross from Angulo. Aquino. Petrasso. Araujo now. Swept ahead. Angulo is onside. Aquino. Ball pushed forward by Janssen. Now he's trying to track Carioca. Ojeda. What effort! He drives and touched away by Guzman. (11-5). More or less the same margin as that first half. Quiñones. Quiñones into the penalty area. This time it's Halliday. Another look. Ojeda nearly willing a goal for Orlando City. And on the other side, Pedro Gallese, as it ever was. The man for the big moment for Orlando City. And for Peru, for that matter. Free kick won by Carioca. Lichnowsky. Goryaron, the outside of his cleat. Over the back of Angulo. Changes are coming for Orlando City. This is the point in the match. 30 minutes to go. You're on the road. Points in Mexico for any team from the United States, national team, club team, any competition, they're few and far between. To what extent are you looking for a road goal, which of course totally changes the math in the second leg should Orlando City concede? And is that worth conceding in the process? Crossfield from Ojeda, out of the reach of Pereira. There's Gaston Gonzalez standing by the coaching staff. This is enlightened from Orlando, and again a save from Guzman. That dipping and knuckling away. Araujo. Orlando City took that first 10-minute fury from Tigres. They appear to have come out the other side. Petrasso. That one moment of thievery from Ojeda, it doesn't result in a goal, but it clearly felt like a bit of a shift, an inflection point. Ball through. Petrasso stabbed away. Petrasso, that's going to bang off of him and out. Here's the change. Gaston Gonzalez is the first moment used by Orlando. Second sub. They made one at halftime. Ivan Angulo comes out. Gonzalez started in the game against FC Cincinnati, the scoreless draw, one in which Orlando took the point. Some of the Orlando faithful making the trip to Monterrey. A wonderful city, really is. Able to see it up close for that tremendous final that Rayados hosted a few years ago. Hopefully the Orlando fans in attendance have made a nice midweek of it. Vigon. Passing by Goryaron, who flies forward. Bit of confusion. Ibanez never came for the ball. Carioca. Gignac. Angulo. That flutters over and away. Goryaron seeking Gignac at the top of the penalty area. Still Aquino. Aquino getting comfortable. Aquino. There they are. Vamos indeed. The whole firm represented. That's going to fall here for Orlando. Gonzalez making the central run. It's Ojeda. It's Gonzalez. He fires high. Gaston Gonzalez signed last year but was recovering from a torn ACL, just his second game coming in from Union Santa Fe in Argentina. They're well aware just how much he has to give. And he does a great job allowing Aquino to continue that run and then reclaiming that space, only to see his shot fly into the stands. Well, it does appear we've got a very good final 25 minutes here in Nuevo Leon. Quiñones navigating, Carioca contemplating, he's gonna go for goal. Sebastian Cordova waiting to enter. Part of the 2021 Champions League runner-up. America signed last January and has made a pretty immediate impact. Whose number joins him on the board? Well, interestingly, it's Ibanez. So Ibanez, who's the leading scorer in the Apertura 22 with Pachuca, as Pachuca went on to win that title. Actually played for Coca back in Argentina. Of course, now no longer the manager, trying to figure out how that two-front works at its best between Gignac and Ibanez. Something they talked about working on this week. Ibanez comes off and Cordova comes on. Lichnowsky. Juan Pablo Vigon. Aquino. Gorriarán, Cordova's first touch on the ball. Angled back across, and Galese is going to chase that, but it's out. Corner Tigres. Gorriarán, header smashed over the top. Gignac breaking free again. He scored the winner against LAFC, proved to be the winner back in 2020. He nearly changed the result in 2017 with a late goal against Pachuca in the Champions League final. A masterful scoring history in Champions League, 14 goals in 24 games. And typically, as you see the reaction of the Tigres bench, he does not play the lesser, quote-unquote, opponents. He really only arrives in Champions League to take on MLS teams and fellow teams from Mexico. That's it. There is no stat padding to Andre Pierre Gignac. It's a foul for Gonzalez. Spun inside by Gonzalez. Injured player down for Tigres. Orlando City not inclined to stop. Facundo Torres inside. Gonzalez pinballs away from, and now slides into Jesus Angulo. And the athletic training staff attentive now. There's that tough tackle at the tail end from Gaston Gonzalez. And then this is non-contact. That's very concerning. Samir's back up, the center back. Great news that he's walking this off at present. Had a run at Udinese in Italy and then went to Watford, only to see them relegated. Then arriving at Tigres, the Brazilian center back. Has slid right in as a starter much of this season, alongside Lichnowsky in that ideal center back pairing for Tigres. Lichnowsky. Cordova. Plays that ball through. That's expert. Plenty of contact. Halliday wagging his finger says certainly not. The crowd uproarious. It appears play on. You know, that's really not a movement we've seen Quiñones provide all that often in this game. That diagonal with the run to the near post. They've largely been kept out into the wide areas down that flank. Halliday apparently by the book. Diego Lainez sets to enter here. The 22-year-old is already featured prominently in the Mexican national team, arriving on loan from Real Betis, where really he hasn't been able to get any run of games. As a result, he's just sort of meandering his way back into more and more minutes since returning to Mexico. Through here, Quiñones. Quiñones, that takes a deflection off an arm. Well, flag's gone up. And it becomes a moot point. So here's step one. There's the release of the ball. Quiñones is in fact behind Janssen. And then that arm goes back as you're taught to do by Araujo. Yeah, nothing there. Trio of subs. So it begins with Tigres. Captain's armband appears to have been handed off here. There's Lainez coming on. Gorriarán comes off. And now Orlando will counter with a pair of subs. And it's Dagordon Thorhalson. Replaces Pereira. Second window, third sub for Orlando City, having made one of them at the half. So Enrique came off, Pereira and Angulo have come off, Gonzalez, Cartagena, and Thorhalson on for Orlando City here for this second half. Gonzalez. Corner for Orlando City. Does the breakthrough come on a set piece? Hangs in the air. Guzman bobbles and hangs on and quickly distributes to his own detriment. Breaking lines into the feet of Cartagena, taken back by Tigres. Again, it's short-lived. Araujo going all the way to Galese. Cordova undeterred. Lost a touch. Oh, look at that contact, forcing Cartagena away from the ball and then ultimately into the goalkeeper from Angulo. Aquino. Service Linez in the header. Again, steered away from frame. And Guido Pizarro, who's been well aware he was going to come off the bench in this game. He started every game of the league campaign. I mean, some of the goals Pizarro has scored in his career, they'll make you blush. But hasn't been a goal scorer at all in Champions League in Concacaf. He is the focal point of that midfield for Tigres, and one you would expect to start next week. Options percolating. Ball for Gignac! Only to see Galese gobble it up. Cordova has been the perfect combination for Gignac since entering. Janssen spinning around. It was nearly too late. Water covers most of the earth, but it's Galese that covers the rest. Gignac can only mutter under his breath. Denied again. Pizarro. Pizarro actually played with Pereira early in their careers. Nicolas Lopez as well. Well, Pereira has come off now. Those two met up at Lanús about a decade ago. Into the feet of Cordova. Heel blast. Big rebound away from Galese. On it again. Cordova. This time Galese snares and covers. Next in line, Jesus Garza to enter. Cordova, he saw that place. He saw that spot. And Galese dives to the rescue once again. There's Garza waiting to enter. It's Quiñones. Quiñones lost his footing. He's recovered. Halliday continues to push him further and further away. Carioca. Here's Lichnowsky for Tigres. Lichnowsky through. Back into a dangerous area. Janssen combining, and now Schlegel. Guzman. He's going to dribble with this, as if he forgot that Ojeda picked his center back's pocket about 20 minutes ago. Substitution coming. That's it for Javier Aquino. And Garza, the 22-year-old, enters. He was one of the non-playing members of the Tigres side in the bubble in 2020. Made the bench in each game in Orlando. You would think he's in line to play in Orlando next week when these teams meet up again. Gignac and Pizarro. Pizarro. Quiñones waved back to his feet. Lofted toward Gignac. Comes out Lainez. Goes 1v1. Tees up Pizarro. Cartagena there to block it. Angulo hangs up, and Galese is there. There's 2 subs remaining for Orlando City. And they're inching their way toward the 4th official now. It appears we're set to see Felipe debut with the club. We'll also see Kyle Smith in a moment's time. You know, if you think about Tigres, this 2 weeks, as complicated as their season is going to get, they'll face Club America at home on the weekend, then they'll travel to Orlando, and then they host Monterrey, the current leader in Ligue MX. Their chance to attain the #1 seed and move on in this competition almost assuredly are going to coincide here in the next 14 days or so. And the fact that Tigres put out 80% of their best lineup and brought the rest off the bench is a pretty telling statement. Cut back into the penalty area. Cartagena kept his feet. Now he slides in. And that's a goal kick. Well, here it is. So Felipe debuts. He did reach the final in 2015 with Montreal. One of the all-time great stories in Champions League in this modern era. Really impactful, that Montreal team. That's it for Petrasso as well. And Kyle Smith enters. 3 years at Louisville City in the championship. About 100 players tried out. He paid $90 to do it. Went on to win 2 USL championship finals, and has now spent 5 years in Orlando, over 100 games, for a player who back in the day supplemented playing as a part-time accountant. So that's the full allotment of subs for Orlando City. Facundo Torres. Is there a little Champions League magic tonight? Torres gets back up and he's barking. Now the whistle blows. Torres and Pizarro. Colliding here as Torres came back for it. Clearly got leveled in the heels. Set piece with 4 minutes to play. A header defensively will find Guzman. He rips that beyond Quiñones. Well, that's Gignac. He seems to be putting everything on target in the second half. That's going to hang in the air. Watch out, Ojeda. Ojeda chipping for goal. And Guzman nearly got bitten for leaving the penalty area on a ball that just hung up on first bounce. There might be one more wild pendulum swing to come here. Guzman. Over Gignac. Settled by Cartagena. He's giving it back to Carioca. Gignac. Quiñones on Halliday. He's giving a good account of himself, all considered. Gignac. The return. Pushed away by Schlegel. Cordova nearly unlocked Gignac in behind with a scintillating combination play. Really good striker of the ball. Cordova has really changed the dynamic since entering the game. Pizarro off the post. Cordova finds Pizarro, who hammers it off the base of the post. And Gallese is down, and he's holding his head. Garza to throw. Another look. Watch Pizarro peel free for the open header. And Gallese appears to take a bit of cleat to the back of his head. Going to go out on a limb and say the second 90 minutes of this is going to be worth watching next week. Another look from behind the net. Leaping. There's that little contact from Quiñones. Was hoping that he'd be able to get to it before that strikes the post. That was nearly picturesque from Guido Pizarro. And then Guzman off his line. Watch how that hangs in the air, and Samir trying not to run into his goalkeeper. Ojeda with his head up. Can't knock it home. And the chances are fast and furious now in the final minutes. Tigres intent on taking something from this game at home. Orlando, if they get that road goal, it changes everything next week. All of a sudden, conceding a goal, there's no reason to despair. You could see Schlegel's frustration. All eyes on 19, all eyes on 10. They're both listed 6'1", with different attackers of the ball. Cordova to put it in play for Tigres. Cordova bounces all the way through, is behind. Hangs in the air, Gignac, header down and wide from Samir. Linez able to recycle, and this game of hacky sack concludes outside the net mouth. Gignac just doing all he can to keep this alive, and the 6'2" wrecking ball, Samir, crashing in and sending it wide. 3 more minutes. It's lived up to the billing, whether we end up with a goal or not. Smith the header. Smash towards Torres, and a foul from Cordova. The wall is going to be rocking next week. Iron Lion Firm, the Ruckus, are going to be bringing a different kind of environment. That entire Open Cup run was all played on home ground. And as it stands now, it's going to be entirely in Orlando's hands after one leg as to whether or not they advance on home ground next week. It's an extended arm. A second ball came into play, but it is restarted by Tigres. Janssen, 80 seconds. Kept away from Gignac. Guzman. High passes Ojeda. Final minute. Is all this work for naught for Orlando City? On the road in Mexico. Good account of themselves. Steady defensively. Garza. Linez. Angles into the penalty area, and the header from Schlegel bounces all the way through. Halliday gets it away. Cordova. Cordova away by Galese. Galese holding his head again. May just be a matter of seconds now. Torres able to shove it back to Halliday. And that, well, there's extra here at the end. Card comes out to Janssen. They're going back to Galese, who appeared to take another hit to the head. Another look at Cordova. That service hanging up, punched away by Galese, crashing into Quiñones. You hope there's nothing significant there. It's the second time he's gone down holding his head. Intervening in the final seconds of this game to apparently preserve the draw. The referee blew, but he didn't blow 3 times. Is there one more chance for Tigres? Referee appears content to allow it. Garza slid away. May belong to Orlando now. Stuttering through Felipe. Dropped in perfectly to Gonzalez. Gonzalez, head on a swivel. There's the whistle. Card comes out. We're way over the 3 minutes now. We were just seconds away from this being over before Galese went down. And that's it. Orlando City gets a priceless draw on the road in their Champions League debut. And Tigres will travel to Orlando next week with nothing to show for their home leg. It is a rarity that an American team goes to Mexico, much less one of these super stadiums with so much rich history, Universitario and the Azteca, and come away with a point. That is exactly what Orlando City has done. They withstood a barrage from Andre Pierre Gignac, and they created a handful of chances as the game wore on. They did have bright spots in that second half, but they'll settle for a scoreless draw. We look forward to welcoming you to Orlando for what is sure to be worth the watch a week from now. For our entire team in Monterey and beyond, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League as it finishes in the first leg of the round of 16. Tigres 0, Orlando City 0.